Well, welcome to another episode of Manifesting Magically with Trevor and Ann. I'm Trevor, and with me is my good friend Ann. And
Hi.
first off, we'd like to thank everybody who's subscribed to the channel, thanking you for liking and watching and commenting on the videos, making content suggestions, and supporting the channel just in general. I mean, it's been pretty fantastic, don't you think, Ann?
Oh, it's been so much fun. It's been a great journey so far, and I'm looking forward to what we do over the next year.
Yeah, so and the election was yesterday. The results are all in, and I'm just curious, what do you think?
Oh, I'm excited about this. I feel like there is energy and momentum, I guess.
I agree.
How about you?
I agree completely. I thought that there would be a big shift in energies, in like the October, November timeframe. And, we might not have picked up on the when the energy actually shifted, but now we see it. Like we have something to show that it's happened. So there's
Yeah.
just a lot more positivity in the air, I think.
And
And
I
I
didn't expect it to be so big.
exactly. I think all the election results were what I thought they would be, but the margins were not. And in
Yeah.
particular, that Virginia House of Delegates flipping 13 seats, some of them really heavily Republican seats to the Democrats, is just crazy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's got to have Republicans just worried about the next year when we get
Well,
to midterms.
I hope so. I hope we stop this, craziness of thinking we get to redraw the maps at will because we're not happy with what the outcome's probably going to be. But I'm glad Democrats are fighting back. I think that's the only way that it's going to work. So, I think Virginia is going to redraw their maps, and they should now that they have 64 House seats out of the 100 seats in the House of Delegates. That's more seats than the Democrats have had since I've been following Virginia politics. So, um, why shouldn't they? I
Yeah.
mean, uh, Abigail Spanberger won by almost 15 points. I mean, that's a huge win in Virginia.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's going to be truces or compromises between the two sides anytime soon.
No, well, you couldn't trust them even if they did make them,
True.
right?
Not at the moment, at least. The John McCains of the world are not there as much, you know?
No, they sure aren't. Well, let's start by, do you care if I throw some cards from the Akashic Records Oracle deck?
Oh, please do. Oh, we already have one jumping out at us.
Yeah, should we check that out? So this is like the card for like the energy of the country is what I was thinking. We get detached. You're being asked to detach from something that you've been holding on to. When we hold on too tightly to the desired outcome, it restricts the flow. Trust that the outcome will work out and let go of your attachment to it. How about that?
Oh, that's interesting.
I think, when it comes to 2026, it's first off, it's a year of our lives that we need to live,
Mm-hmm.
and we shouldn't put all of our efforts into, thinking about politics 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So I think, just trusting the universe has got our back. I really think it does. That doesn't mean we don't fight back. It just means that we
No.
trust more.
But yeah, trust that the universe knows what it's doing.
Yeah. Well, let's take all of those, I guess. That's a lot. Oh, makes me think I should have put on some reading glasses, but that's okay. Listen, that's the name of the card, not a command.
I thought you were calling me out.
Listen, Anne. No, listen is the name of the card. You're being asked to listen to your inner voice. it's been guiding you to do something or say something, and it's time to act on its wisdom. And I think that's really accurate. I think, even if our inner voice is just telling us to not worry, right? Now, that's much easier said than done, by
Very
all
much so.
means. Don't worry, Anne. See, now that would have been that's not a nice thing to say, I don't think. Jump in. You are being asked to take a chance and give whatever you're questioning a try. The stars will never all align in just the right way. Sometimes you have to take the leap anyway. This is that time. So I think to me, what that means for some people, it means trying something new, just going for it. Running for school board. I don't know, somebody's supposed to run for school board here.
Well, I agree actually. I love that card because it makes me think of the perfect is the enemy of good. Which as a
Exactly.
woman you hear a lot, right? Because a lot of women they want things to be perfect. They want to have full knowledge before they do anything. And then nothing gets done because they're just still waiting for that, that perfect moment. And so we have to remind ourselves a lot, or we get reminded, don't wait. And then I also am thinking about Mom Donnie, who is not the perfect Democrat candidate for the entire country by any means, you know.
Right.
Um, but he went forward anyway and won, in New York, and that's great.
And I don't know if you watched the interview with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, before it was announced that he had won. She was talking about, if the old guard isn't going to get on board,
Hmm.
meaning, and she called them out by name, the Hillary Clintons, the Bill Clintons, the Chuck Schumers, if they're not going to get on board with the Democratic candidate, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And I
like,
think we need new candidates. We need new ideas. I mean, a lot of the ideas that Mamdani put forward are probably not going to work out. They're idealistic, but there's something. It's better than just saying, we have a problem, we don't know how to fix it, throw our hands up in the air. And
we,
that's what we need.
I agree completely. And some of his stuff is idealistic, but some of it's not. Keeping the
Yeah.
snow off the streets so that the buses run fast.
Well, and
That's
some
not
of it I feel
idealistic.
like idealistic or not, you never know. He might be able to pull some of that off.
Well,
In which
yeah, you don't
case,
know. You don't know.
great, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, universal child care would free up so many people to re-enter the workforce if they wanted to,
Yeah.
and not worry that they're making $2 an hour, because by the time they pay their child care, they're literally making $2 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, there's so many people that aren't in the workforce because childcare is so expensive. And yeah, I like it. And this goes with, I think, what AOC was saying, obligations. Stop telling yourself you should when you cater to others or to unnecessary expectations of yourself. You stop your flow of abundance. Uh, we should just, stop telling yourself you should when you
Mm-hmm.
cater to others or to unnecessary expectations of yourself. I think, there's these unnecessary expectations of these candidates that they're supposed to like believe everything we believe 100% of the time. And, you know,
Yeah.
that's just not the case. I remember, you know, in 2008, voting for President Obama. And, there were things that he did from 2008 to 2012 that made me not happy, and particularly drone strikes is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. I don't like the idea of them now. I didn't like the idea of them then.
Yep.
They seemed like a terrible idea to me. But when it came to 2012, even though I wasn't, 100% with his foreign policy, I wasn't going to vote for Mitt Romney. I
Well,
mean, he was,
yeah, and the Democratic Party has to be, if we're going to survive, a big tent party. We have to be able to have the super progressive as well as the more moderate people and find common ground and compromise.
that's right, because really progressive ideas such as universal child care, universal health care, they're really everything. I think everybody really wants them. It's just scary to take that leap, right? It's kind of like in
Yeah.
2012, and in 2008, really. I mean, everybody knew Obama was for marriage equality.
Yep.
He didn't say it, but we knew it, right? It just like, if President Biden could have passed universal health care, he would have, but he
Hmm.
couldn't have, right? And so, and you got to make sure that we pass laws that stay laws, right? That just don't get undone too.
Yeah, yeah, because that's harmful if you just pass and then it gets overturned right away.
Well, I think this speaks to candidate quality here too, is authenticity. You know, be your divine self at all times. You weren't designed to fit in. Break away from expectations and fully express yourself in your own unique way, and you'll be a magnet for success. Isn't that why Mamdani won?
Yeah. Yeah, because he definitely did not have all the voters with his stance on Palestine,
Yeah.
but that's people were able to compromise and come to like, okay, this guy has really no influence on what's going to happen with Palestine anyway, or in Israel. He certainly didn't get all the voters because of that, but he was authentic, and I think everybody can appreciate that.
Exactly. I think people recognized, the common person in him. And while that might not necessarily be his past, that, you know, we all have that like human trait of, survival on some level, I guess. But, some of us have had easier roads than others. And I think, that's why authenticity comes easier to people that have maybe had difficulties and in the past politically. I think individually this doesn't apply, but uh, just being a Muslim in this country is not easy, as I know from many of the Muslim friends that I have. So
Hmm.
um it's tricky. And what about the new lieutenant governor from Virginia, the first female Muslim elected to statewide office ever?
That is both exciting and also sad.
It
I sad because it should have happened before now, and I get that way about a lot of firsts. Like I'm so excited that it happened. I'm grateful that it happened, but also it's 2025. Come on. Some of this stuff should have happened by now.
Well, that's true. That's definitely true. But, as we take the victories where we get them, I think, and we use that going forward. And I think it frames something different, when the felon went to Michigan and got all this Muslim support, supposedly. Um, I think, now that wouldn't happen today, right?
No. Well, I don't think he doesn't do rallies. For one thing, he doesn't do rallies anymore.
Well, he can't, I don't think, but
I don't think he can physically do it. I think
yeah.
you're right. Yeah. But yeah, nowadays he wouldn't, even if he was physically fit, he couldn't do that, I don't think. Get support. like that.
Well, I mean, just given the way he's turned his back on, the Muslim community and the way
Yeah.
he treated, the incoming mayor of New York City as if, he's not American. Uh, I mean, that speaks volumes to people. I don't know what the stat is. This would be an interesting thing. I don't know what percentage of voters are naturalized citizens, but uh, I certainly know a few. And, I think they take great offense at these types of comments.
Well, I know a few too, and some of the ones I know don't take offense at these comments. Um, but some of them that I know are also xenophobic, which is ironic for a naturalized citizen, I feel, but never
Yeah.
underestimate.
Never underestimate our own rationale to
Yep.
ostracize others to make ourselves feel better. Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed. So, well, I think the election is a turning point of sorts. I think it's a shift in the energies. That doesn't mean that they don't shift back and forth, that it's not a bumpy ride. I think it is,
Hmm.
but I think overall it gives hope to those of us that have felt quite distraught.
Yeah, it feels like we just went from neutral into first gear.
Exactly. It feels like there's a reason to put in the effort.
Hmm.
And if, more phone bankers, more door knockers, more postcard senders, whatever it is that the candidates need, uh, you know, that's who does it. It's people like you and me. It really is. And uh, if you've never done it before, I would encourage it. It is scary the first time you cold call people, but you don't have to do that either. You can write postcards. That's another big thing people do. But
Hmm.
you
Well,
know,
and volunteering to help out with the elections too is another thing that people could do.
well,
Uh, and
exactly. I think
that's
that would be eye-opening to people.
I think it would. I think it's scarier now than it used to be because of the people who have been targeted, who have been helping out. But if you take somebody who's a skeptic and then you put them in the position where they are helping administer the elections, a lot of the things that they thought were true is just disabused because they'll see how things actually work and how
Yeah.
there really isn't room for any huge problems to occur, at least not at the moment with the way things are set up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every time I've done it, it's, there's people from both sides, checking people in, and watching them put the thing in the machine, and then the
Yep.
machine will tally the count, and then you'll call the Secretary of State and report that number. You don't even send it via email. There's codes that you tell the Secretary of State's office ahead of time so they know who you are, that nobody else would know. It is very complicated, and in the sense of how hard it would be
To
to
change things. Yeah.
yeah, to
And
change numbers. Yeah.
I haven't personally done that, but that is my plan when I f retire finally. I don't know about you, but I went into my polling place on Tuesday night and there was just these older women who were, retired age. I don't know how many of them were retired, but they were that age. Um, and it was just friendly, right? It's just here's these
Yeah.
people from my community who care and are doing this service to the country, as well as our community. And I'm looking forward to being one of those people one day. But of course, with a full-time job, it's hard to you can't really volunteer for an all-day thing as easily.
No, no, you have to, yeah, I mean, the times I've done it, I knew that I didn't have anything to do on a Tuesday, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was easier to do. But, you know, I think too, I mean, it's really interesting, just the people that you meet. And it's not as partisan as people think. It's just not. Uh,
No, and it's you go in there and everybody looks just like people from your community, they're wearing whatever clothing is the norm wherever you are. And it's very homey. It's very comforting for me at least. Um, yeah.
yeah, and at my polling location, there's one of the election officials that hands out cookies after you vote because you can't do it before because that could be considered a bribe. But after you vote, you get a cookie, so nothing wrong with that.
hmm
So, oh, what did you think of the Supreme Court? Did you read anything about this tariff argument today?
Oh, I was hoping to actually listen to some of it, but I was busy at work, and then by the time I had a little bit of space at lunch, it was done. So,
Yeah. So I didn't get through the whole transcript,
hmm
but I read a decent portion of it. I think we have to be careful with taking the headlines from the news, as always, but I think the news actually got this one right. I don't think they got the voting rights law right, their reaction to that one, but
Okay. Yeah, I
uh,
read some of the headlines. That's what I mainly read.
it sure feels like there are 7 votes to get rid of the tariffs and 2 people that didn't really say very much with Alito
Yeah.
and Thomas. So I'm assuming they'll do whatever they want to do, but I don't think they'll matter. So
Well, and I doubt that there was much that they could say that was logical um, to
yeah.
support keeping tariffs.
I thought the greatest thing in the whole thing was how all the justices kept referring to the tariffs as a tax.
That is exactly what I refer to it as. And as we all know from the Boston Tea Party, no taxation without representation.
That's right. And the one thing that Congress is supposed to initiate are all new taxes, not the executive branch. So it seems unlikely that he's going to win this one, but let's just see.
Yeah.
I think I want to do a full
Let's see what
spread.
the cards say.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do a full spread. Let's just see. I feel inclined here to go. Yeah, I think he's going to be, they're going to tear it down. I,
That's perfect.
they're just gonna tear it down. That's just what's gonna happen. I was like, I don't know if I want to do a full spread here. Because they're being very discerning about it. The Queen of Wands type of energy. I think of her as being very discerning.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and
And that's a justice's card for sure,
yeah,
right there.
yeah, and then the King of Swords, logic and consistency. And the point is if we give the executive branch this power, Congress can never take it back.
hmm
Like there's
And
no
it is going to screw up so much for so many people.
exactly. Congress can't write a law taking away power from the executive,
hmm
right? Like that was given to it by the court, right? Like it would
Yeah.
be complicated and it'd have to go through the courts again and and I in several of the conservative justices reference this and as a fear of
hmm
if we do this, even if we let him call it something else, not a tax, it's still, expanding the executive's power and there's no getting that back.
Yeah.
And, especially with how close elections are for president in this country, or at least the last several, um, I think it's better that there's more people. This way, Congress can decide and the executive can decide to veto it,
hmm
right? Or
Yeah.
sign it. And so, we have a lot more input from the voters this way. So I I've said for a while I thought the Supreme Court would strike them down. So, we'll see. But that sure seemed like the what's gonna happen. So, yeah. How do you think the felon's handling all this?
I think he is in his own little world, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah. Should we throw some cards on that?
Yeah, why don't you throw some cards on that? I think he's probably throwing some temper tantrums. I think we saw a few of them on Truth Social last night, but
Yeah.
and then apparently had
Potentially.
a meeting with the well, what deck is that?
Oh, I got a new deck.
Oh, do tell.
I've been using this in the morning for the last couple days, and I just love it. It's called the Cozy Witch deck
Oh,
or
nice.
Cozy Witch Tarot. Yeah, right. It even has little coffee cups on the front as part of it because we're cozy like that.
Yeah. Coffee time with Anne and Trevor.
All right, I'm just going to do three cards on Trump and how he's doing with things. So let's start off. Let's see. We have, oh God, I will figure out this camera thing. I apologize to everybody. All right, this is the Queen of Cups. It says honoring your emotions is one of the highest forms of self-care. All right, so the question is, what is the felon going to do to honor his emotions? How much ketchup are they going to have to scrape off the walls? Okay. But at least he's honoring his emotions. Then we have the Two of Swords. It says, wake up. What is it that you truly want?
Turn the volume up. Did you hear that last night in Madami's acceptance speech?
I did. I did. Yeah. Yeah. So apparently, I guess that sounds like he's just really indecisive. He's not sure what to do with things. Our last one is the Three of Cups. It says, come together with your coven,
Hmm.
sorry. Um, so I'm gonna take that to mean that he needs to get together with the Republicans, which are already starting that stuff, right?
Yeah,
Didn't he have a breakfast with the Republicans this morning?
he did, and it was very cold from the people inside because he was trying to get them to get rid of the filibuster. And there are four people that are very strongly on record of never going to vote to do that, and they need four to do it. So
Uh,
that's just not going to happen, most likely. I'll look into that more, but I don't see it happening. But
yeah, yeah. So
he
I
says
think
that's
he's
the
trying to get everybody together, but there are some things that we are finally getting some of the limits of what Republicans are willing and not willing to do for him.
well, that's right, because the truth is the felon will be gone soon.
Yeah,
And a lot of
I
these people could have long political careers if they want to.
I think they're starting to think about that because with the MRI and then, the recent cognitive test again, I think people are starting to think what happens after? Where do we go after?
Yeah,
And how do
I
we
agree.
handle this? So,
I
yeah.
agree. I think it's an interesting exercise to try to get into the brain of him. I don't do it very often because it's kind of like a ping
Scary.
pong ball bouncing between two walls like this.
Yeah.
It's never coherent. It's never linear.
No.
So
No. Not linear, not logical, none of that.
no, and I think he just, he for whatever reason uh has chosen to just ignore all of us. And I don't know if it's arrogance that he really thinks that he's that popular, or if there's some malevolence to it, or if it's just
Well, I think he's also
stupidity.
isolated. Um,
Yeah,
People by now, everybody knows that he does not like getting bad news or bad poll numbers, and so people don't give that stuff to him anymore because they might lose their job, you
yeah,
know? Like the woman who was in charge of the Bureau of Statistics, right?
right.
So, when you create your own reality by throwing people out who tell the truth, it's just sad.
Yes, I was gonna throw just a couple cards from the Witch's Tool Magical Oracle deck because I think it's the only second time I've ever used it. Um, just kind of what can we do?
Hmm.
Like as a group, what can we do as a group of, concerned citizens?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to look at this one. Well, apparently we're supposed to seek guidance from the universe, trust the wisdom of the cards. A little self-serving, but agreed. Herbs, use nature's gift, find healing and magic in the earth. I think that's true. I mean, that's what we were saying, leading up to this. Just the simple act of having something to do, whether
Yeah.
it's light a candle, make a cup of tea. It's that act, that intent that I think gets put out to the universe in a positive way. Um,
And
that
helps
really
ground us.
and we're gonna need grounding because while I do think the energies are have shifted in the right direction and things are going to uh, lead to a good result in 26, that's a long ways off.
Yeah. Yeah, and we
And
still have to survive the next year, and then who knows what things are going to look like. I mean, things have changed so much just in the last 9 months. Uh,
right. Well,
that or 10, yeah. Yeah, it's just
they had this interview with this one voter in New Jersey, and she said, I've always voted Republican, but when I saw him tear down the White House, I couldn't do it.
mm, yep.
And we were talking about that. Like, it's just like, that
Yeah,
is really shocking.
it is. And what's to stop him from tearing down other parts of the White House? It's got a whole nother wing. Yeah. Like, who knows what we'll wake up to tomorrow?
That
Yeah.
is that is what it feels like a really bad SNL sketch.
And yet, some of those things they hit close to home because it could happen so easily. And I mean, we never imagined, the founders never imagined that you'd have a felon who is a constant liar in the White House, who, someone who acts like a child and treats people like dirt. It just did not cross their imagination.
No, I think the founders thought that we would have more common sense than to do that. But
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. But I think the founders also thought that people really wouldn't be beholden to their political party in such a way. Like I mean, take the
Yeah.
attorney general's race in Virginia, right? The Democrat won. He had made some really vile
Hmm.
text messages, right? But he
Yeah.
won, but he only won by like 4 points versus 15, right? There were some Democrats that said, no, that's too much.
Hmm.
Like I think Democrats are far more willing to break the lines. Well, like I mean, even Andrew
Yeah.
Cuomo, and to some extent,
Ugh.
you
Yeah.
know, those were mostly Republican votes that he got, and um, I mean, yeah, I just think and I think of like the really, the situations like, and I'm not excusing what Al Franken did by any stretch of the imagination, but Democrats demanded that he resign.
Yeah.
And you compare that to what some of these Republicans are accused of doing, and
Well,
while
and what the
assault is
felon is
just,
accused of doing, and
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
assault is assault and it's never excusable, but it's, I don't think that those two are equivalent in my head.
no, no, not at all. And that part aside, he was a really good senator.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, Gavin Newsom was saying, we fight fire with fire. And I like that expression, and there was somewhat of a play of making fun of, not making fun of, but just this idea of when they go low, we go high, which was Michelle Obama's saying in
Yep.
2016. And it's more like when they go low, we get a shovel and hit them.
Mhm.
It's like we don't have time to play those games anymore.
We
It's
don't.
like,
I would prefer to use a different phrase because that image is a little violent for me.
well, I'm certainly not suggesting that we actually hit people with the shovel,
I
but
know you aren't. I just, we want to, I personally, I like to stay very far away from that because of everything that's going on right now. Um,
no, but I mean, I think we can't like forego everything that's at our legal disposal, is my point.
I agree for that, of like, it's, you know, a lot of people have been trying to find a middle ground compromise, and I do think there is still a place for compromise in this country, and I really hope we can find it. But I also think that you don't compromise with a scorpion on whether it's going to sting you or not. And
Well,
and at this
yeah.
point, yeah, we need some assurances,
Well,
and
yeah, I
and we don't
mean,
have that.
we don't let them change the rules of the election without playing their game.
Yeah, or rescind funding for things that Congress approved. You know, what's the
Well,
point of putting together a budget if the White House just says, "Yeah, we're not going to do that part. We just don't like it." You know?
yeah, I mean, I think, at this point, the line I think has been drawn. And I think it's can, you know, federally elected Republicans versus state elected Democrats.
Yeah.
And, the founders gave a lot of power to the states. And maybe they were thinking that for a different reason, because I don't think they were thinking about it for this case. But, it makes sense that, get California, get Virginia, get Illinois, get Maryland to redraw their maps. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
the Supreme Court of Wisconsin orders their maps with redrawn. Um,
Yeah, I could
uh,
see that happening.
yeah, well, there's a lawsuit in front of them. They ordered legal briefs on it in
Oh,
September. So,
okay.
um, yeah, it's very possible. And New York has a lawsuit against its map as being unconstitutional, and the governor supporting the fact that the map that she signed is unconstitutional. It's just hilarious and sad all at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, well,
Yeah.
anyhow,
Anyway, do you want to end on a happier note?
sure.
Okay, so I wanted to share something with you today. I thought today's a kind of a good day. I have a simple prayer that I do on a daily basis, and I was thinking this is a nice thing to end, all this turmoil and angst with. So I wanted to kind of share it with you. And these are, this is a prayer, modify as you will, right? Um, so I start out my prayers with, "Oh gracious universe," and you can substitute whatever you want with it, goddess, God, whatever deity name that you prefer. And the one that I really like is, "Help me find the right path for me, whatever it may be, and walk it confidently and bravely." So the reason why I put that there is because sometimes we don't know what direction our lives are going to take. And the universe has something in mind for us. And it a lot of times doesn't take us where we think it should go. And if we persist in trying to go in one direction, the universe slaps us down and pushes us in the other. And so, yeah, the confidently and bravely, I think, is also important, right? For us to move forward and do things that are outside of our comfort zone.
I think it's lovely. I think it speaks the truth without forcing will.
Yeah, and I always end with a blessed be and then a thank you, thank you, thank you. There are two parts that I usually add as well, but these are, optional. The one thing that I add is I've been having some health issues, so I put in, let me regain my health slowly but surely, but not too slowly. And I'm serious about the not too slowly, right?
Yeah.
Um, we don't want big changes in our health that are drastic. Our bodies are better with slow changes, but we also don't want to go too slow. And the last one, of course, is for Carl, who, as a 14-year-old cat, is aging in the way 14-year-old cats do. So the last one that I add in is let Carl be healthy, happy, and know that he is loved. And so that's a nice one for any pet that anybody has.
Carl. He didn't join us tonight.
Well, he's sitting by the computer staring at me and underneath the lamp just staring up at it. So, you know,
Having fun.
I think that's what it is. It's cool down here, so he's looking for other sources of warmth until the nighttime snuggles.
Well, Anne, on that wonderful note, I think we should sign off and thank everybody for watching and supporting our channel and taking the time to just have a little chit chat with us. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Trevor, and until next time.
Okay, bye, Anne. Bye, everyone.